Welcome to tonight's bite-sized class. This week's parsha is Parshas Pinchas. In Parshas Pinchas, so we start off learning a continuation from last week's parsha. There was the daughters of Midian had gone out to try to entice and seduce the Jewish people, and they accomplished that. And while they're deciding what to do with them, Zimri, who was the Nasi of the tribe of Shimon, publicly took one of the princesses to his tent, and they didn't know what to do. And it says nobody knew what to do except for Pinchas. Pinchas remembered the halacha, what you're supposed to do in such a situation. He took, he caught both of them sinning. He took the spear, whatever it is, and killed them both. The question is, why was it Pinchas who remembered, and why didn't anybody else remember it? Now, we're always used to learning about Pinchas that he was a zealot, right? And he was just going out there. But the truth is, there's a lot more to Pinchas than that. And we find, in fact, in the beginning of the parsha, it says, I'm giving you my covenant of peace. Pinchas is a peaceful man, and he's getting peace out of that. So why was it Pinchas that remembered it? And what does it have to do with peace? Seemingly, he's a zealot, maybe a holy, righteous, seeking justice, but he's not peaceful. The answer is, in the beginning of this week's parsha, it says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, Heshavas Chamasi. It says, Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, turned my anger away from the Jewish people. And it gives the whole ancestry. The son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen. Why does it normally just say the person, the son of his father? Why does it go all the way up to Aaron? Because what do we know about Aaron? Aaron was somebody who was Oyev Shalom Reid of Shalom. Aaron was always looking for peace. He was a peaceful person. He was looking to make peace out of the love of the Jewish people. Not just peace, but he loved the Jewish people. And therefore, we're stressing that Pinchas went after Aaron. It was Aaron who used to concern himself with trying to make peace between a husband and a wife, between two neighbors, between friends. So when Moshe and Aaron were before Pare, it was Aaron really the one who doing all the talking and trying to get him to free the Jewish people. When the Jews sinned with the golden calf, Aaron takes the blame on himself, sort of trying to get God's anger a little bit off of them. And that's Aaron. And that's why we're stressing that Pinchas is the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron. It was his love and devotion of the Jewish people that he dedicated himself and he put himself into it, trying to figure out a way to stop this plague. And then he remembered their halacha. And since he was the one who remembered it, it says, the one who reads the decree, so to speak, the letter, is the one who executes it and fulfills it. And therefore, he went and he did it. But it was all coming out of a place of love of the Jewish people trying to stop this plague. And therefore, in the benefit of that, he gets the covenant of peace. Tonight's Tanya, we learned last week that there's two levels of a tzaddik, right? There's the complete tzaddik and the not complete tzaddik. Tzaddik gomer, tzaddik she'ene gomer, or tzaddik b'tevle, tzaddik v'ralei. A tzaddik it's good for him, and a tzaddik it's bad for him. And we explained tevle meaning is good for him, meaning he has only good, and he's the tzaddik gomer. We have the tzaddik she'ene gomer, the tzaddik is not complete. It's just he didn't really conquer the bad. The bad, he maybe subjugated it, and it never gets him to do an avera, and it's quiet in its corner, locked up in the cell, but it's still there, and therefore he doesn't have this disgust to something that's not positive, that's not good. Now, on the flip side, there's also concept of Rasha v'Tevlin, Rasha v'Ralei, or Rasha Gomer, Rasha Eina Gomer, complete Rasha or a non-complete Rasha. The non-complete Rasha is called Rasha v'Tevlin, a Rasha, and it's good to him. He still has good in him. He constantly regrets his past misdeeds. And there's different levels. There's some that every once in a while they do something negative, and then they regret it, they do tshuva, and then a little later they succumb again, and then they do tshuva again and some. some who are even lower than that. There's from the lower levels of Russia, a Russian who's good to him is Russia that he's constantly regretting. He never actually stops sinning, but he regrets. He always feels bad. I'm always succumbing, and that is, and that's what we say, that he's full of regrets because he's constantly regretting it. Where does all these regrets come from? Even though he thinks of doing tshuva, he has regrets, he wants to do tshuva, but he never is able to pull himself out of it. All of that comes from the teiv, the good that's still in him. Then there's a Rasha Virali, a guy who doesn't have any regrets. He never regrets the evil and the bad that he does. And that's the Rasha Gomer. It's a complete Rasha. He never regrets. So now we have two levels of a tzaddik, a complete tzaddik, a not complete tzaddik, and a complete Rasha, and a not complete Rasha. Most people who do evil regret it every once in a while, at least, and that they're not a complete Rasha. Then there's a complete Rasha. There is, however, a key difference between the tzaddik and the Rasha. It's not completely, one is not completely a flip of the other. The Rasha Viraloi, the complete Rasha, he also has still a good in him, in a way of makav, encompassing goodness. It may not be internalized, but there is still good in there. It's never completely gotten rid of, eradicated. Unlike the tzaddik, V'tevla, he got rid of completely, like David Melech said, he completely got rid of the bad in him. He killed his Yetzer Hara through a tinus and so on. The Rasha, even the Rasha Gomer, he may not have it internalized. It's hidden. It doesn't come out, but it's still, there's still some good there, which encompasses in a way of makav. It's not internalized, but it's sort of surrounding him. And that is why we find that a kolba is sarish shchinta sharia. It says that whenever you have 10 people, 10 Jews, even the biggest Rasha, the Shekhinah rests there. And we see Alpha Pishachata Yisraelu. Although he may have sinned, he's still a Jew. Because it doesn't matter how big of a Rasha he is, there's still, maybe not internally, maybe around him, maybe encompassing, maybe surrounding him, but there's still a little bit of good. And that's something important to know. Even the greatest of Rishayim, he's still a Jew, and there's still always that ability, as long as the good is still there, and which cannot be gotten rid of. There's always a way, there's always a chance to turn around and do the positive. Now for the halacha. So since it's the 4th of July, so we'll just say something about barbecues. So first of all, there's a question about these barbecue chips. They sell these woods that give a flavor to the whatever it is that you're barbecuing. The question is, do it need the hechsher? The answer is, as long as it's only the wood chips, even though they may have all these different fancy names and it gives this flavor, that flavor, as long as it's only wood chips and nothing added to it, it's just it's maybe wood coming from an apple tree or some other tree, and we're just saying what flavor it gives, but that's not actually anything in the wood, and therefore it wouldn't need a hechsher. However, if the wood is pre-treated, or it's coated, or it's soaked in wine, or whatever it is it's soaked in, which sometimes does, then you have to make sure that it has a hechsher. That's one thing about barbecues. Another thing to keep in mind is about whether you could cook. A lot of people try to barbecue fish. Now, in theory, it says in the Gemara that you can't cook fish and meat together in the same. You can't combine them. You can't cook them together because it's sakana. It's dangerous. And we have a general rule, Chamir Sakanta Meisura, that a sakana, something that's dangerous, we're even more strict than just something that's regularly usher prohibited. And therefore, we don't even cook in an oven if two pans, a pan of meat and a pan of fish, both of them uncovered at the same oven. We do not cook them together. But you are allowed to cook in a completely clean pot. You can use a completely clean pot of meat, a meat pot that doesn't have any actual meat in it, and cook fish afterwards. Therefore, in theory, you would, if your grill would be completely clean, you would be able to cook barbecue fish after in the same thing that you used for meat. However, it's very hard to have a completely clean grill or kosher grill, it's completely hard. And also keep in mind that even if there's meat on the other side of the grill, it's still a problem. If there's fish or meat on one side, and there would be a problem of closing the hood and so on. And therefore, in practice, since it's very difficult to clean, almost all poskim and rabbis, all organizations would say, do not use the same rack. You cannot use the same rack for both meat and fish. Either you double wrap your fish or have separate racks, but don't use the same rack for fish and meat. So just to recap, the first we said, why is it give the whole yichus, the whole ancestry of Pinchas ben Elazar and Aaron HaKohen is to teach us that it wasn't just he was a zealot and he was coming to just kill people, but on the contrary, he was coming out of a place of love, that Pinchas went and he killed Zimri. Because of his love of the Jewish people, that he came from Aaron. Aaron was also somebody who's ready to put himself on the line. He took the blame for the golden calf and so on. So too, Pinchas was, because of his dedication, he looked for a way to get rid of the wrath on the Jewish people and get rid of the plague. And that's why he remembered the halacha, the kanoim pagan boy, that you kill the person, and through doing that, the God's anger subsided and the Jews were saved. But it came from a good place, came from a place of love, and therefore he was granted Brishi Shalom, the covenant of peace. We explained in Tanya that just like there's two levels of tzaddik, there's also two levels of a rasha with tevli and a rasha with aliyah. A rasha who has good in him, he has regrets. There's different levels. Some regret more than others. And then there's rasha v'aliyah that he's no regrets. He never had regrets. Nevertheless, we said that this rasha, even this rasha v'aliyah, is not completely the flip of a tzaddik v'tevli. In other words, tzaddik v'tevli has no bad, but rasha v'aliyah does not mean that he has no good. He does have some good. It's not internally, but he has in a way of makif surrounding him, not in an internal way. And therefore, even in the biggest rasha, if you have 10 people, he's part of the minyan. And when we say, Alpha Pishachata Yisrael, who although he sinned, he is still a Jew. Then in the halacha, we said, first of all, about the barbecue chips, the wood chips. We said as long as it's pure wood, doesn't matter what it says, what flavor it gives, but if it doesn't actually have any additives, it's not pre-treated or whatever it is, it's not coated, soaked in anything, you could use it without a hechsher. But there are some that are treated and soaked in various things, and therefore you would have to look at it as a hechsher. Then we spoke about using the same barbecue grill for meat and fish. Well, we said in theory, if the grill would be cleaned, then you would be able to, just like you're able to use a clean pot, clean meat pot that has no meat residue for fish. Nevertheless, in practice, it's very, very hard for that to actually happen, and therefore you do not use the same grill for meat and fish. If you want to grill your fish, you have to either double wrap it, use a different grill, or as I understand that they have wood that you grill it on top of the wood, or whatever it is, but not directly on the grill. That's it for tonight. Have a good night.